So we were able to enjoy quite a bit of upside on Bitcoin over this last little period here, but there is a little pullback now, and the question is, of course, how deep is it going? Are we going to be going significantly lower? We punched in a high, and that's it, game over, pack your bags? Or is it just another kind of standard retest, right? And, you know, spoiler alert, I think it's just another standard retest, but there's a lot more to unpack, so we'll take care of that throughout this video. Now, if you are excited for this, do me a favor and smash up those likes as you are coming in here, and check out 𝗙𝗂𝒑𝒑. You're going to be getting exclusive chart setups from the team, and it is a pretty powerful exchange. You're getting some super cool bonuses when you start signing up, which is really cool, but also proof of reserves and great liquidity and so on. It's pretty much what you're expecting, but the really cool thing is we get to post exclusive stuff for you right there, and we've already been doing it. You've been missing out, so check it out if you're interested. But here's the deal. So we had that slightly higher all-time high, which is continuing that trend of really disappointing shit. All-time highs being set when we're trending up, which is, yes, it's quite annoying, but it's what we're dealing with. So we'll put that to the side for a second. And we are seeing a pullback now. So far from the high, it's a 7.4% pullback. There's quite a bit of unhappiness and fear going around in the space, but 7.4% is really nothing for Bitcoin. Please keep that in mind. We're seeing altcoins get hit pretty hard, though. You know, Solana has now lost this 170 level, which it was actually holding on to pretty well. Now sitting at about 160. Trump has fallen below some of its more important support levels. I can't say more important, but it's fallen down to one of its more important support levels here now, coming toward that $10 price zone. And of course, you know, all of this is happening probably, I think, you know, just in light of what's happening with the S&P 500, right? The S&P 500 has had a stellar rally from its low where everybody was just scared shitless. And obviously, if you were subscribed to the YouTube channel, you're going to know that we got more bullish up, down there, because believe it or not, and this will come as a shock to some of you, especially if you're deep in altcoins, but what you actually want to do is you want to buy stuff when it's low. Yeah, you want to buy it when it's low, not when it's extremely high. I know it's a shocker, but that's where we got bullish. And those of you that were subscribed, obviously, you know, you were very much in tune with the market. And now we're just seeing a bit of a, you know, kind of consolidation period, right? I mean, I was warning you guys myself that, you know, it felt like the S&P 500 had extended, you know, quite far, and, you know, it was probably due for a pullback. The last pullback that it had was this one right here, and it was a super small one. I mean, if we measure it, you know, this one lasted about 7 days. It took the price down by 6.5%. So 6.5 is fine. I would call that kind of small to moderate for the S&P 500. Probably still in the small kind of territory, but also quick, right? It only lasted 7 days. Now on this occasion here, since we've kind of hit this price zone, the S&P 500 has been trading sideways now for 17 days, 20 days, whatever, depending on if we count the weekend. So, you know, I think that's definitely, you know, a sign that obviously there's been some sort of a correction here. Now, I was saying that, you know, we can come as low as kind of 5,600, but it seems like we've been choosing to do a time-based correction. Bear in mind, there's always two types of corrections you can have in the market, okay? The first one is going to be where the market kind of falls down. The second one is going to be where the market trades sideways. And we're doing the second type here, which is fine. I mean, you know, price-based corrections, time-based corrections, doesn't matter as long as we're getting corrections. That's ultimately what we want for the market. So, you know, to me, that's actually pretty good. I mean, this is a really good level to be consolidating at. I mean, you know, mind you, we haven't actually consolidated at this level ever for this long, right? I mean, the only price action that Bitcoin ever had in this zone was going to be throughout this tiny 150-day period, and you know, approaching 20 days here is pretty good. Actually, I take it back. I eat my words, because this does look like, yeah, this was also a 20-day period of consolidation, but it was as resistance, not as support, right? Last time this was, you know, the first time the S&P had ever hit this level, so rightfully we got a rejection here, but you know, now we're actually finding some support off this level, so I think that's pretty good, and it's really set this chart up for a bullish Monday on the next weekday for this market here, for this index. So I think that's actually really important as well. And the reason we're spending so much time, of course, on the S&P 500 is because it really very directly affects Bitcoin. I think the fact that the S&P has been in a correction of sorts so far is probably the number one singular reason that Bitcoin itself hit a correction as well. And, you know, the reasons for that are pretty straightforward, which we've discussed at length now, which is simply that, you know, the same money that moves, you know, big indices like the S&P 500 and stocks like Tesla, it's the same money that's moving Bitcoin now. So if that money gets scared, or if that money feels uncertain, or if that money feels like it just kind of wants to taper off the market a little bit, then we're probably going to see the same thing in crypto. There are exceptions, and you're not smart for pointing them out, because these are just kind of general, you know, correlations that are pretty clear at this stage. So I don't think that this pullback is surprising in any way based off that, and we're bouncing off some pretty good levels. I mean, we've come down to about 103.6, which is right in the middle of this entire zone. Maybe even a point of control there. I'm curious. Can I be cheeky and just kind of take a look at that? Is there a yeah, right there, point of control, which is exactly where we bounced off of. So who says TA doesn't work? Like you're just bad at TA, bro. If you're chatting shit like that, it's not true. TA works really well. But yeah, we fell down to a really nice support level down here in the mid 103 zone, and we're seeing a little bit of a bounce right now. I'm not saying that this bounce is going to work. I'm not saying this bounce is going to stick. So far, it looks like we are kind of setting ourselves up for a bearish weekend, but we'll come to that idea in just a moment as well, because I do want to talk about that specifically with you in this video. Like I said, if you're enjoying this so far, do me a favor and smash up those likes, and of course, check out the beautiful links down below if you are allowed to. Okay, only if your local country's laws and regulations allow you to access these platforms. Otherwise, you would be breaking the law, which obviously none of us want to do. So yeah, really, really cool stuff there. Yeah, and as far as support, we're doing what I want to see. Now, look, if it falls, which it definitely could, because I'm not counting this as a particularly strong level of support, then we've got a ton of support below. We've already outlined it, but this 100k level, 99.5, whatever, it's a nice round psychological figure, and it totally makes sense for the market to kind of come down to capture a little bit of support. Beneath that, we've got a really nice zone stretching between 96 and 98, which I really, really like. The market has respected it very well, both as support and resistance, and I think it just kind of makes sense that the market can kind of find itself coming back down to that level again. If we go ahead and throw another fixed range volume profile to see where that point of control is, again, it's coming in exactly this price zone, and this is where we're seeing a big spike here. So honestly, overwhelming likelihood, in my opinion, that if we are seeing a more significant correction now, that correction is probably going to reach this level, maybe even bottom out at this level and then go back up, right? I can't say that it is going to bottom out at this level. That's not so clear at this stage, but certainly that it would reach this level, I think that I can say that with a lot of confidence. That's if we are entering a bigger correction now, which I definitely think is possible. And so this is going to be a level that I'll be watching out for. And then obviously, this kind of low 90k range down here, I think is also really important for the market. And actually, it remains untested since we flipped it. So, it would actually be a really, really nice flip to see Bitcoin coming back down here. And again, as far as kind of percent, we're now in, definitely moderate correction territory for Bitcoin, with, what looks like a kind of 19% drop down to the low being possible there. So none of this has happened yet, and it doesn't have to happen. There's a ton of support in between for Bitcoin, to kind of enjoy before it gets down to these levels, but we should be open to them. They're good levels, and I don't think we should be scared if it happens. I don't think that there's any reason to be scared unless Bitcoin kind of falls below 84 is where I think, okay, well, there's still no reason to be scared, because being scared means you're being an idiot and you're too, emotionally invested into the market. So there's never a good time to be scared. But of course, for concern to start kind of setting in, below 84 is where I can understand a lot of people kind of feeling that. I still won't, because I'm not a pussy. I've been in these markets for over 8 years. That, I'm just not worried about this kind of thing anymore. And I don't think you should be either in any situation. But of course, people will, and this is where I think it's going to start to be understandable, kind of below 84. There's a lot of room for this thing to drop and actually still stay quite bullish, in my opinion here. But of course, we would like to see it kind of sticking a little bit higher, and some of our indicators are probably, showing us similar signs to that right now, right? Here's the Ichimoku cloud, and we talk about the weekend, right? Like, this is a really good setup for the weekend's trading session to actually be bullish. We've seen a little bit of a pullback. The S&P 500 will not be trading anymore, and we've got a really nice cloud of support here on the 4-hour, which, by the way, it formed all the way back in kind of mid-April, and now we're at the end of May. So that's a pretty long time frame to have a nice 4-hour Ichimoku cloud. More than that, on the daily time frame, we're probably seeing some EMA support right here. Let's take a look. I haven't seen the charts in a couple of days. What is going on? Oh wow, did my trading view downgrade? Wow, that's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? But it looks like my trading view is no longer with me. That's crazy. Maybe I forgot to renew it, so I'll take care of that. By the way, if you're wondering where I chart, it is on TradingView. TradingView, if you're watching this, why isn't my shit free? Anyway, we'll continue on. It's no issue at all. By the way, they run really big discounts. I don't know if they've run them recently, but yeah, they don't give out free subs. I'm just messing with you guys. But yeah, I think I think for sure, there's going to be some kind of moving average support coming in at this level. I can't show it to you because I'm a brokey apparently, but that's totally cool. And I think because of that, there's just a lot going in Bitcoin's favor to kind of bounce up. Let's take a look at Bitcoin's dominance. It took a little bit of a it saw a little bit of a drop, and now recovering that just a tiny bit, but still standing pretty strong. I think really, eyes are going to be on the altcoins right now. I mean, here's Ethereum trying to get that breakout here. This is a really big deal, by the way. I mean, the fact that Ethereum, had this nice rise up against Bitcoin and then, kind of came back up for another attack is a really, really big deal in my books. And definitely indicates that this could be, Ethereum's time to really start taking it higher. I'm not going to be holding my breath for it, but, definitely I can see why people might be a little bit more excited about this right now. Here's Solana against Bitcoin, really just kind of sitting at lows on a cliff edge, to be honest with you. If it does lose this level, it could definitely turn pretty sour for Cardano, and obviously that's going to be a picture that we see, like I said, across altcoins. I'm really interested in Trump, as I've told you before. We bounced off these support levels really well down here at like $12, and that just makes me even more confident for the support down here in this kind of $10, $11 range. I'd love to see Trump coin kind of fall a little bit lower, into some of these really, really nice support pockets, and then watch this thing kind of rise a little bit higher. I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Again, we took a brief look at Solana, but just to kind of build on that a little bit, there's still a lot of support down here. We're at the $160 level, okay? So we're probably fairly familiar with this level at this stage. It's still a good level. It's not a bad thing at all, but obviously if we are going to be revisiting the bottom of the range, then that does take us down to 120. I can't say that I see that happening at this stage, but, if Bitcoin does fall below 100, then all of these drops are definitely going to be on the cards, and I think it'll definitely, set Bitcoin up for a huge climb up in dominance. It'll probably set a new high on the Bitcoin dominance chart here, which is, of course, what we were expecting anyway. So that wouldn't be able to surprise us at all. Now, Hypecoin doesn't seem to care, and Hypecoin is still looking pretty good. Obviously, worth noting that this is one of the more manipulated coins as far as kind of social media narratives go. We really need to keep this in mind, because when you have a heavily backed influencer coin, you're not trading something that's safe. It looks good, and that's because and trust me, I've seen the other side of this industry. Living in Dubai, it goes on a lot. But you don't need to be in Dubai for this. It's quite international. These charts are printed, like they will literally, buy. I'm not saying who they are because I don't know, but the people who are kind of hired to do this will literally click buy and sell at the right times to print a nice, pretty chart. So nothing you see is legit. I don't know if that's happened with this coin. It's 11.3 billion market cap, right? So it's quite big. It's not going to be so easy to do that to a coin at this size, but I know that it's a common industry practice, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening here as well. So we got to keep that in mind. But yes, the chart does look definitely very, very nice indeed, and I think I can understand why some people might be kind of clicking buy over here, given that we've kind of front ran this zone of support at about $28. We only bottomed out at about kind of 31, but definitely within kind of reaching distance of this real kind of support level that we had a little bit lower at about 28.5. So I can see why some people kind of might be bidding on it. I think these coins are risky, even though they look good. The reason I think they're risky is, if the whole market is kind of suffering a little bit, then I don't know. I don't want to be singing praises too quickly for any coin in particular, because really any of them can fall quite flat. Here's Matic, for example, which has fallen down to an important level in recent price history, but, no price history if you go back very, very far. I mean, you've got to go back all the way to 2021 to see this level here for Matic. And Matic's not, they're all shit coins, right? But it's not like a uniquely shit coin. It's not terrible. And yet here it is, at quite a low level. Obviously, Fartcoin is going to be one of the ones that everybody's interested in as well. And if we go ahead and take a look at Fartcoin, this one's seen a really, really nice big steep drop here, which I think is absolutely fantastic because that's going to be an opportunity to kind of get in. Obviously, this is one of the stronger looking coins, and we want to typically buy strength when the market is a little bit quieter. So this is definitely interesting. If we throw a fib on this, we're sitting roughly at the 382 level right now from the absolute low. So I think that's a pretty significant deal. I think that's definitely a pretty significant deal. You know, and then obviously our 618 level for this Fartcoin chart is going to be sitting at about kind of 73 cents, and it's definitely a level that makes sense. If we try and draw a much tighter Fibonacci, we've fallen below all of the interesting levels down to here. We're at the 618 pocket right now. So if this is how you want to draw it, then that's going to be looking really good for you. I don't really know why you would draw the fib down to any of these lows because they all look kind of similar. So for me, I'm trying to go for consistency here, and I just feel like kind of drawing it from the absolute lows that a recent cycle top is definitely, I can't even call this a cycle top because this whole chart was in 2025, but local top we can say, is definitely the way that kind of makes sense for this particular chart to be displaying a fib level here. So I think that's definitely interesting as well. But as usual, standard procedure pretty much, we just have to see what Bitcoin and its dominance does. And as far as Bitcoin, like I said, we're in a bit of a downtrend right now. If we end up getting a bounce, then we've got to break the all-time high, and then it's off to the races. Hopefully we can stop setting these fucking terrible 2-3% all-time highs, and we can start doing something a little bit more interesting. And I definitely think that time is coming, so I'm not worried at all. But I don't think that's going to be happening, especially over this weekend. I think that best case scenario, we're looking at a bounce, getting close to all-time highs, maybe 108, maybe 110, but I don't really see us getting that high over the weekend. And that would depend on if we kind of really do well with the support level, which I don't think we're doing well with the support level right now. And so perhaps more realistically, but I don't know, and I can't pick a side right now. I will hopefully if I can kind of take a trade in this market, but as it stands right now, I can't really pick a side because I think that there's some really, really good chart setups right now for this thing to dip a little bit lower. A lot of the altcoins like Trump, for example, haven't quite fallen down to their key levels of support yet. So I think that there's definitely some opportunity for that to happen over the next couple of days, just for this weekend trading session here. So we will be taking a look at that as things continue to develop. So if you have enjoyed this one, you know what to do. Like I said, definitely check out 𝗙𝒂 for those exclusive chart setup updates. These are things that we only post on 𝗙𝒂 right now, and we're giving you updates on how it kind of progresses. And yeah, it could turn out to be something really, really interesting for you. Already has for a couple of people that have signed up. So definitely check it out if you are interested in that. Like I said, you get some super cool deposit bonuses when you start trading on 𝗙𝒂 anyway. So that's just free money that you can throw into positions. And it's got the same kind of security that you kind of expect in this space as standard now. Some pretty big people, obviously people that you've seen me hanging out with, also using 𝗙𝒂 as well. So really, really cool stuff. Definitely check it out if you are interested in that. But again, only if you are allowed to in your country. If you've enjoyed this one, you know what to do, and we'll see you all in the next one.